Hello, my beautiful souls. Tirza Schaefer here, the smiling goddess, and I wanted to read something from one of my books, which is called My Spirit Song: A Spiritual Evolution and Poetic Expression. It's got a lot of, it's like my personal development in spiritual terms until 2015, I think 2015. So I've done a lot more development since then, but I also wanted to show my own progress and where I kind of had the steps and things coming from the cultural concept of the divine that I grew up in is Germany. That's very Christian based and obviously Catholic around here. And so like the divine is outside of yourself, got nothing to do with it. You're this little human who has to like pray and petition and I'm so small and so weak and so stupid and wherever else, and you're the great God, up there in the clouds far away. Please help me, please, whatever, so coming from that kind of concept of the divine to something very different, a lot more spiritual, understanding divine energy, how we're all one, and and so on. So I've worked and am working a lot with deities. And I wanted to share about my first vision of Anubis that I had. He's been with me ever since, probably before that, and I didn't realize. But that was like, I think the most intense vision I ever had in my life. Probably it felt so real as if I was there. I mean, I could have been on drugs, it wouldn't have been more real. Like, I don't know, that's how I imagine it. I've never taken anything hard stuff that gives you kind of visions where you think you're in a totally different reality and think it's absolutely true. But that's how it happened. It was like me sitting in front of my computer talking into the camera now. That real. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'm going to read that to you the way I've written it, and probably needs a bit of editing, but we'll just go with it as it is, okay? So it's called The Vision of Anubis, page 36 at the moment. Let me just show that to you so you can see it. That's what it looks like. You can get that on Amazon. And I'll put the link in the description. The Vision of Anubis. I wrote this poem after a vision I had during a meditation. In my vision, I was walking through the tunnels of a subterranean cave. It was pitch black, but nonetheless somehow I could see through natural walls, ceiling, and floor of my surroundings. The darkness was not frightening. I felt safe and protected throughout the entire experience. At the end of the tunnel, there was a tiny speck of light which became ever bigger as I approached. When I was close to it, I saw into a chamber clad in a wall of large sandstone bricks, perfectly aligned as the ancient Egyptians were master builders. There were some paintings of hieroglyphs and colorful pictures on the walls, but they were more like a frame for the walls, and most of the areas were free. As I stepped into the chamber, I saw a large sarcophagus to my left, which is why I had not seen it from the tunnel. It was beautifully crafted and painted in vivid colors and a lot of gold. Anubis stood on my side of it, so I saw him half from behind, half from the side. He was bending his head and looked down into the open coffin. "Come here," he told me kindly. His voice was warm and reassuring. I walked over to him and stood beside him. Then I looked into the sarcophagus myself. In it lay a female mummy which was thousands of years old. Somehow I knew this had been me in a previous incarnation, and this me woman had been admired for her beauty and intelligence in the prime of her life. She was missing her upper left front tooth, and I wondered whether this had taken away from her physical beauty in later life or added to it, the same as I wondered with other signs of age. She had died an older woman. Her hair was definitely grey. I remember feeling vastly curious, but not self-conscious or concerned or worried in any way. I merely wished to understand how she had lived her life and how people had treated her and felt about her. Anubis laid a hand on the small of my back, and I looked up into his face. He smiled. "You have had so many lives. It is an infinite circle. You were born, lived, and died, like this woman here, whose body lays before you now. There have been so many other bodies, but they do not matter now. None really does." He then led me out of the royal burial chamber that held no gifts, as would have been usual for the chambers of persons of such high standing, but at the same time I knew it had been like this always. No one had ever disturbed the peace of this tomb. The me lady had lain there undisturbed for millennia. Anubis walked by my side through the pitch-black tunnel. I could see nothing at all now in this complete darkness, but I was neither afraid nor without orientation. Anubis was so loving and kind in a really affectionate manner. He took me into his arms and held me tight, told me that I was loved always, and I hugged him back. His body was completely black, his hair in the style of ancient ritual wigs, with stripes of gold going down from his head the length of the hair, which looked more like a helmet and was somehow hard as well, as if carved rather than made from hair. But his body was black light. I cannot describe it any other way. It was a tangible energy. I felt it as he grew large into the darkness, becoming one with it and losing his human, jackal-headed form. He had the strong body of a warrior, and it felt as if nothing could ever touch me. I was completely safe, and this velvet darkness cloaked me and wrapped around me. It was as if I was swimming in water. I was so completely surrounded by it, yet it did not feel like water. It was black light that felt velvet, smooth, soft, cuddly, and infinitely loving in a most affectionate way, like parents would hold their baby, perhaps, cradling it in their arms and loving it to abandon. Magnify and multiply this by the love of a God, and that will perhaps give you a glimpse of the love I felt surrounding and pervading me. In between these black floating cuddles, I had glimpses of the burial chamber again, and sometimes I saw Anubis again in his material form, smiling at me, telling me he loved me, and that I was safe and everything was all right. He even kissed my brow once in a while, and this felt more loving than I will ever be able to describe in words or feelings. Mostly, however, I was just in this blackness, wrapped, protected, and safe, floating there like a baby in its mother's womb. But it was definitely a male energy. I didn't really want to leave there, but at some stage the vision faded, and I was left returning gently and happily to mundane reality once more. I know I can go back whenever I like, and I have been back ever since also, even though it has not been so real again as it was this first time, so intense and all-pervading. Still, I know now how very much I am really loved by the divine. I thank Anubis for his experience of love and reassurance. I felt more information was needed to be shared about my vision of the God himself. Therefore, I have detailed it here in this form. If you feel you would like more information on Anubis, search the internet. There are many websites, both scientific and esoteric spiritual, or academic, rather than scientific, which hold information on this wonderful, loving dark god, as well as many beautiful images and various products. There's a page for Anubis on my website as well, so obviously I wrote that before I put that up there. Follow your inner guidance to lead you to the information and or images and products you feel are right for you to connect with his particular energy. You need not believe in deities to work with the energy of a particular one. In my humble opinion, deities and other non-incarnate beings are manifestations from different dimensions our inner or higher self uses to convey certain messages to us in a way we can relate to, work, and grow with. Remember, the ultimate source of wisdom lies within you. Whichever view you hold about deities and other high vibrational energy beings, the positive masculine energy of Anubis is such a beautiful one that it is well worth exploring. Blessed be. That was written on the 6th of December 2014. Now, second part. 2 years after I wrote this, I had an energy healing session during which I was told, don't take this the wrong way, and don't get scared now, but I am guided to tell you that it's the color black. I asked if this was certain, because usually people associate it with bad, sinister, and dangerous things, but was told you'd understand. I nearly laughed out loud. Yes, I understood. It was the feeling of the most beautiful, rich texture and the most unconditional, protective, nurturing, and affectionate love I had ever felt in my entire life. My reassurance set her mind at ease, and after the session I told her about this vision which she hadn't remembered reading about anymore. It had been some time since she had read my first poetry book, and the detail with the black had slipped her memory. The healer was happy that I didn't have an adverse reaction to the color black, but instead associated with love and peace. The fact that I am a night owl by nature probably helps too. Since my earliest childhood, I am used to walking in darkness, literally and figuratively speaking. I used to run off in the woods beside my parents' house at night, even merely to commune with the night, with the peace of nature, and hoping I might see an owl or fox or rabbit cross my path. Sometimes I would just lie on my stomach under the needle trees and listen into the darkness. I was never afraid then. The night was my ally, my protector, never my enemy. And thus it didn't occur to me once during the vision or others that took place in darkness to feel afraid, because to me, darkness has always been a protective, soft and gentle, loving cloak, never a threat of danger and evil. And thus I am predestined perhaps to walk with the dark gods a while, take the dark path that others shy from. It is not that I am braver than anyone else. I hold fears as much as the next person. Perhaps I merely have a different perception. And that second part was written on the 21st of March, 2017. Well, I hope that gives you a little glimpse in my own personal journey. You can see, that I've come a bit further on my own, on my own personal belief system and spiritual exploration experiences and so on. So, and also what I called the beings of a different dimensions and deities. I think archetypes, if you look it up, like Jungian, Carl Gustav Jung, he coined that phrase, and I think that works really well if you want to work with deities. If you don't believe in them as such, so it wouldn't go against your religious convictions. Let's say, like, you know, if you're like a Christian, for example, and you don't accept the existence of, like, for example, Egyptian deities or something, any deities really, other than the Christian God, use it as an archetype. It's an energy. So it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't, whether you believe that's an actual divine being, or, you know, an archetype that is within you that you want to access. It's really what we say in Germany is, it's the same in green. Like, it's basically the same thing with from different angles, different aspects, kind of thing. You know, I've been going through both sides, and I feel very much, to me it doesn't make a difference, but if it does to you, pick whichever one you feel more comfortable with, obviously, you know. So yeah, there's some more stuff in here, and obviously a lot more on my website. I usually talk about the goddesses, but there are gods on there, a couple as well. Not that many, because my main focus really lies on, you know, the divine feminine, and yeah, I love animals, so power animals. There's a few more there as well, but goddesses definitely outrank everything else in how many I've been writing about already. And yeah, I wanted to share that with you and give you an idea of kind of, you know, where I come from. So, of my own personal experience, no value judgment, you know, just sharing. So I'll see you later. Lots of love. Bye.